Adrian did it?
That's what it looks like.
Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that.
In court today, there'll be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you.
A mountain of evidence?
I'm certain there's someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you.
Please, Mr. Lawyer, dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that.
I understand. Well, it's almost time. Mia, we must get a complete acquittal today. I know. But I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Let's get going. Uh-oh. It's him. This is right.
Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney, the day of the trial.
Maya, she's unharmed, right?
Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how shall we say, tired. Don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. Oh, for my sake as well as yours, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning.
Present? What in the world will you want to give me?
You'll figure it out once the trial starts. And even if you don't like my gift, I expect you'll graciously accept it and win the day's contest, if you please.
Wait. The kidnapper sent me a present?
Mr. Lawyer, dude, who was that?
No one. It's nothing to do with you. Forget you heard anything.
Dude, did you know she's getting longer?
Where's the prosecutor?
Court is now in session for the trial of Matt on guard. Are the prosecution and defense ready?
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Ms. Von Karma?
I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me?
Your Honor, please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning, Ms. Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. What?
Shot? Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. His present? Miss Von Karma's one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. This is totally insane.
Miss Von Karma, is she alright? I don't have that answer.
She's alive and in stable condition.
That's good. Whew. You're...
I thought he'd show up.
Your Honor, due to the circumstances, Ms. Franziska Von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready, naturally. Ms. Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery.
Ironic, isn't it?
Luckily, I've looked this case over and I'm familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt on guard. The court acknowledges the prosecution. Right. I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Witness, your name and occupation.
My name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct. For now.
For now?
After this trial's over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir.
Detective Gumshoe?
The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Gumshoe.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that.
Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. Yeah, it would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth.
This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in the hotel room. After looking at the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder.
So why bring it up?
After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room.
Yes, sir. Both the victim and the defendant went alone in their rooms, sir.
I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Would you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony?
Alright, pal. Ceremony started at 6 o'clock, ended around 8, and then there was a short break. A special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later.
And that's when the victim's body was found, correct?
Which is to say, the murder occurred during the 30-minute break period. Please continue with your testimony, Detective.
The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in the hotel room.
The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct?
Yeah.
Who's this Adrian Andrews you're talking about?
She's the defendant, Matt on Guard's manager. She's a really pretty lady, sir.
So she's a pretty lady. I wonder if she'll grace us with her presence.
When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Mr. On Guard. After visiting his room, she went to the next victim's room to get him for the show, sir.
I see. And that's when she found the victim's body.
The cause of death. Wasn't that because Mr. Corrida was stabbed in the chest?
Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now, real presentation be drawn here to this bandana.
Banana?
His bandana, sir. The thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir.
Oh, yes, I see. The banana-scented bandana.
And what about the knife?
Seems to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death.
It's also quite clearly a fucking butter knife which wouldn't harm anyone. So, you know.
We have a crafty murderer on our hands here.
Right. Cause of death, 8:15. Strangled with a scarf, then stabbed with a knife. Why'd you think that?
Because it was empty, pal. The jamming ninja don't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. And we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime.
Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that?
We thought that too, but the only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims.
Only the victims, huh?
I see. So much for my theory then.
There's Corrida's fingerprints. Guitar case had nothing to do with it. What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case?
The guitar weren't at the Gatewater Hotel that night.
Well then, where was it?
Bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Hon Corrida, apparently only taken the case with him, sir.
So you mean you forgot to put the guitar inside the case?
Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar.
So the guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel?
Yeah, that's right. Really had nothing to do with the case at all.
I believe that is enough. First the victim was choked to death with his bandana, and then after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt on guard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him.
Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth's back in full swing.
Very well, Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter.
Yes, sir. Matt on guard and Hon Corrida were huge rivals with each other. But each thought the other guy was in his way. That was maybe enough in my book. As for evidence, there's a jamming ninja's button. Ripped off a ninja costume was found in Mr. England's... Mr. On Guard's Akma. The defendant's fingerprints are also all over the knife. The defendant brought the knife to the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder.
So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing.
It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints come out pretty clearly, sir.
Gatewater is engraved.
And there's the button.
Found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And this button's also covered in blood?
Yeah, and we know the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir.
What?
All this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, White?
I'll find the hole in your argument somehow.
You can press as hard as you like. Just hurry with your usual... Just hurry up with your usual pointless questions.
Ugh.
In terms of popularity, Mr. On Guard won, did he not?
Yeah, but you know what's ironic, pal? Hon Corrida was always one step behind Mr. On Guard and everything. This year seemed like he finally caught up, ready for the big final showdown.
But Mr. Corrida lost the Grand Prix in the end.
That's too bad. He must have been pretty downhearted after losing.
Wait just a second here. Mr. Ongard was beating Mr. Corrida in the popularity polls.
Well, yeah, I guess, but
Which means that in the defendant's eyes, the victim was not a rival at all. Which means he'd no motive to kill.
Yeah, I quite agree. Well, Detective?
It's not. Well, I guess if you put it that way, then yeah, the defendant would have no motive.
Detective, I'm beginning to see why you were fired.
Not you too, Miss Edgeworth, sir. That's...
I look forward to your pension negotiations.
No!
Now, Detective, let's continue with the testimony.
Oh, not my poor pension too.
Detective, if you value your money, I suggest you proceed.
Yes, sir. We'll talk about my pension later, sir.
What about what I was saying? Hello? Anyone? Do you have any proof the button belonged to the victim?
What do you mean, pal?
Let me put it this way. I'm asking if you have any evidence to back up your claim that this button was ripped off the Jammy Ninja's costume.
But can't you tell just by looking at it? And the victim's blood's on it?
Anyone could have smeared that blood on there afterward.
Mr. Edgeworth, help me, sir.
Alright, I knew it had to be this piece of evidence, and how to reel this one in.
Fred.
Huh?
The button was attached to the costume by Fred, obviously, and that Fred snapped when the button was torn off. If you match up the end of the Fred with the costume and the Fred on the button, it's a perfect match.
Yeah, that's it, they're a perfect match, pal.
That's Edgeworth for you, never misses a beat. When was the button found?
Pretty soon after the body was found, we rounded up everyone who knew Mr. Corrida. And then we did a search on them all. That's when we found the button.
So it was almost immediately after the murder. The police didn't have the free time to lollygag and play tricks, unlike some people.
What are you trying to say here? Defendant's fingerprints all over the knife. How were the fingerprints arranged on the knife?
Hey, what do you mean, pal?
By examining the fingerprints, you can determine how the defendant held the knife. For example, did he hold it normally or overhand?
Oh, that's what you mean. Well, we didn't actually think of that.
I can't believe the bumbling of this department.
Hopeless. Were you paying attention to the testimony, right? The defendant's fingerprints were all over the knife. There's no way to determine how the knife was held at the moment of the murder. So is the defendant the owner of this knife, then?
Defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. I don't think it is. It's got Gatewater's stationery on it. There's no way this was a premeditated murder, even if he bought the knife.
Sorry, pal, it's in some pocket knife. It don't fold. It's not great for walking around with either.
Well, this is not good. If the prosecution can prove this was a premeditated murder, we're done for. Phoenix! Yes? There's something very interesting about what the detective said just now. Think carefully, before it's too late. Uncovering the victim's blood and the knife of one guard's fingerprints. Be grateful. If the judge were more rash, he would have parried his gavel in closing. We're still in a world of trouble. Before any battle, you must find your enemy's weakness. So let's find the weakness in his testimony, no matter how small it may be. Okay, Phoenix? In the grip, Gatewater is engraved. The knife belongs to the hotel. He did not bring it with him. Wait a second. What? So the basis of your argument is that this is a premeditated murder is simply that my client bought a knife beforehand? That's right, pal. The defendant did not buy this knife. Huh? Take a good look at the handle on this knife and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh?
It has a Gatewater seal set into the handle.
Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before. That's the name of the hotel. The Gatewater Hotel. Uh-oh. The murder knife was actually the property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated.
Yes, that's very true. This is very big. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless.
What?
I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined.
How so?
I admit the knife is hotel property. There is no one currently on the police force dumb enough to not realise this.
But I didn't know. Oh.
The question is, where did this knife come from? Well, it's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Corina's room. Sorry, Your Honour, but that's incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I'd like to draw the court's attention to what's on top of the table. There's a knife and a fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from? If it pleases the court, I'd like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt on guard. Especially what was on top of his table. There's something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife? We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion Mr. Matt Onguard's knife was missing. Mr. Onguard had gone to the victim's room with a knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife to a visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder. Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth! Absolutely brilliant! A brilliantly clear deduction!
Seems like Edgeworth had this plan from the very beginning. This must be one of those traps and I just walked headlong into it.
A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. That's quite a sizable amount of evidence here. I can safely say any further deliberation is a waste of Your Honour's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defence were to present evidence not yet shown to the court.
Evidence not yet shown? He means evidence the court's not seen yet. In other words, new evidence.
What does the defence have to say about this, Mr. Wright?
Well... Phoenix, the judge is favouring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, that gabble of his will ring out the sound of our defeat.
Mr. Wright, you have something important and necessary to present to the court.
Probably. There's one. One piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something this court has yet to see.
Mr. Wright, I'll say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I'm giving you one chance and only one. What the judge is saying, Wright, don't try and pull your usual... Don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here.
If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us. Oh fuck, that's my whole health bar.
You may now present one and only one piece of evidence. Now then, what is the important evidence you must show the court?
The wine glass, right?
This is a wine glass, is it not?
Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle with his assailant. The vase was broken. His makeup's all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser.
Yes, I see your point.
However, this glass that's sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over, along with everything else, is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say?
Well, yes, it is a little peculiar.
Yes, isn't it? I thought it was.
You can stop looking at me with those puppy eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth. What is it, Your Honour? Your opinion. You don't need my opinion, because there's no special meaning to that glass.
What?
It's safe to say the glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking. That does sound very plausible, Mr. Wright.
Could Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? No way. A, that's not the kind of person she is, and B, it's full of tomato juice, which is Juan's drink of choice. If I appear weak here, the trial's over. If I can look for it, I can look for any proof later. For now, I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. They just might fall for it if you're thought-provoking enough. The defence would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table.
You've turned the situation on its head again, as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim?
There's no way he has any. He's bluffing.
Unlike Mr. Edgeworth, Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it.
What? Don't tell me you've looked for prints.
You're not thinking hard enough today, Wright. Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice?
Then,
Of course it's been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints.
fingerprints.
There is only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass. Only one? Well, whose were they? They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were of one Adrian Andrews.
What?
That's why I said the person who had discovered the body left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright?
Oh, I can't believe I fell into another trap.
Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Corrida. Upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser. What you just said makes a lot of sense. Now do you see right? You can't change any part of my scenario as it explains everything all too well. I thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I've come to discover. Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict. Unfortunately, I can't allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from.
Another witness?
Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness.
What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? Oh no.
Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name and occupation, please. Oh.
Gotcha!
Oh.
I wonder what happened to that calm composure he had earlier.
Oh, Edgy boy, it's been 1 year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me.
I saw the report of her testimony, but who knew that under the helmet it was the Wicked Witch of the witness stand? The Wicked Witch of the witness stand! Oh. Ooh. I can't. Oh.
I'll tell you this time I know what I'm supposed to do. Today I'm going to tell you anything and everything. Even things that have to do with the terrible crime.
Miss Witness, the terrible crime is all the court needs to know. Oh.
Shush! I'm talking to my dear Edgy Wedgy right now. Don't interrupt us, Gramps.
Yes, ma'am. No. By all means, interrupt her, please. Anyway, witness, your testimony, please.
It's true what they say. The youth are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, Edgy. Now then, what should I start with?
The witness was on security duty at the hotel the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Oldbag?
Oh, it was a great job being able to see my dear one. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle.
You mean you were a fan of the victim?
Look, everyone's crazy over that Unguard, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me. I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I've no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in the real man, the Juan Corrida.
They're the same fucking age. Those two were the same age. I should have just carried on.
Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night.
Very well. Please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder.
Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. A man coming out of poor Juan's room. It was Ungard, Matt Ungard, trying to sneak away out of one's room.
So Mr. Ungard came out of the victim's room.
See? Has to be him. He's the murderer.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Miss Oldbag, what was your post on that night?
The lobby. I was supposed to set up the stage for that trifling show. I refused to help. I'll have you know, it was for that lead-headed samurai show. I even took out a few of the nails.
Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on.
Besides, that manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard on it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little.
And that's when you went to hang around the victim's door? Something you were interested in, and just what was that?
And that's a little thing I can just go around telling everyone, you know. It's top secret between me and one. Oh, an edgy boot, of course.
Mr. Edgeworth, what's this thing she was interested in? I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honour.
Gossip?
But should it prove relevant, we can always have it appended to her testimony later.
Looks like we shouldn't force it right now.
And did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time?
Oh? Then would you tell us the number of people who went in and out of Mr. Karida's room?
I've no idea. I wasn't born so I could count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why ever since I turned 20, I quit keeping track of how old I really am.
Yes, well, that would explain why your age is not included in the report. In any case, the witness then saw someone, correct?
That's when someone showed up, a man coming out of poor one's room.
Who in the world was that?
I'm not allowed to say. That sort of information has to be carefully guarded from the masses, Sonny. The man that came out of one's room, he was...
Yes, he was.
Oh, I'm too scared. I can't say his name out loud.
What I wouldn't give to have Franziska's whip out right now.
Well, I guess I can tell you since he was such a bad boy anyway.
You saw my client. Are you sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Really?
Annoying brat, when I say I saw someone, I saw that person.
Why do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a repeat of last year, I should delve a bit further. Please tell the court about the man's face in more detail.
You don't need me to tell you about his face. The soft, gentle look in his eyes, his effeminate lips, right eye covered by his silky hair, sparkling, shining teeth.
Teeth were shining?
Well, he was shining all around this week's pin-up poster, dearie.
This week's pin-up? Why do you... I mean... I don't care how he looks in this week's issue. Please state with what you saw that night.
What? On God's face the same no matter where it is, you know, whippersnapper.
So, Mr. Wright, was the testimony just now important or relevant in any way?
Oh, what the fuck do I say here? I don't think it was, you know. I guess it really wasn't that important after all.
Oh, Mr. Wright, you know why we say time is valuable? If not, I suggest you learn.
You wasted 3 minutes of this woman's youth. That's more valuable than gold to me.
Why do I suddenly feel old in the presence of her childish whining? She may not remember things or be mistaken here and there, but I don't think she's lying. That's bad for us, really bad. That's how the human mind is. It has a tendency to jump off topic. She's strayed onto a few interesting side topics this time too, hasn't she? But that's what makes her a sweet old lady, right? That's because you're not the one who has to question her. Clothes. Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail.
What a troublesome man you are, really. As if something like that matters.
But it does.
What was it? Yeah, it was that thing.
What thing?
The gaudy thing he's always wearing, that racing jacket.
He was wearing that in a detention centre too.
That thing's meant for no but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Ugh, men.
Right. What was the man you saw carrying?
In which hand, his right or his left? That's a real mess. I mean, I can't be expected to answer such a vague question.
You're taking the piss, madam.
Indeed, please be more specific with your question, Mr. Wright.
Sorry. What was the man you saw carrying in his right hand?
He wasn't carrying anything in that hand.
And how about his left?
Empty.
You fucking obnoxious bitch! Well, this whole thing's been a lot of nothing. Okay, looks like my gut was right. Lack of description of the face. Important. Of course it was important, Your Honour.
Then perhaps you'd like to point out what part of the testimony was important.
You don't really have to put it that way to get me to say.
Mr. Wright, there is something more valuable than a person's pride, and that's time. Please don't waste this court's precious time with worthless questions.
Yes, Your Honour. I think I just wasted his good favour. Really? That's not it? Empty hands then, perhaps? Wait! No! If he was wearing his racing jacket, that means he's not wearing the Nickel Samurai costume, so how can the button get caught in it? Of course it was important, Your Honour.
Then perhaps you'd like to point out what part of that testimony was important.
Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honour, I request what the witness said about the jacket be appended to her testimony.
I don't see quite where you're going with this, but all right. Witness, please.
Well, I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must. He's wearing his flashy racing jacket. Honestly, it's all just for show.
You're sure the defendant was wearing a racing jacket?
What do you think? It's not like I've seen him in anything other than that horrible thing. I'm sure he was just wearing it.
She's so sure of herself to the point of self-absorption. Ms. Oldbag.
What? Don't say my name for no reason.
Do you know what this is?
Ah, button number 2 from the German ninja's costume.
Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it at a single glance.
Give it here, give it here. If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this.
Wow, she really is a die-hard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Unguard's body during a full-body search.
See? See? This button proves beyond sure of a doubt it was the rascal on guard.
It was caught in the pleats of his nickel samurai Hakma pants.
See? See? And on guard's a nickel samurai.
Witness! Now, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination, but just now, didn't you say the defendant, Matt Unguard, was wearing his usual racing jacket?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry you judge people based on what they wear. If I wore the trenches just maybe...
Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Unguard the man, but Mr. Unguard the nickel samurai?
But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway.
Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about.
Edgy Poo, do you think so too?
Well, it might be something worth considering.
Just say it's important and agree with me for a change.
Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify.
All right, if you insist.
I should be the one sighing, not you.
On guard, on guard. Yes, now I remember. The nickel samurai. It was the nickel samurai I saw. It would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to the post-ceremony station right after the crime, you know. He must have worn the nickel samurai costume when he was stabbing poor One.
I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside the costume.
What? Do you think there could have been someone else inside the costume? Don't be a bad little boy thinking such rude things.
But the possibility does exist.
Oh, young today, I told you there's no way it was anyone else.
How do you know that?
'Cause I said so, and what I say is the truth.
At least she's just as delightful a witness as she was a year ago.
Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Would you please get on with your testimony?
Watch your language, young man. What sort of tone's that to take with an elder? My youthfulness and what it used to be should forgive me for everything. You keep on barking at me like that, I'll start singing the top of my lungs.
What?
A striking figure by the sea, standing alone is he, the nickel samurai.
She's actually singing. Someone help my poor ears.
Mr. Edgeworth, can you do something about this racket? Witness, I'll give you a piece of gum later if you be good and stick to the facts.
Okay, you promise, right?
Right, I'll be sending you the bill for the chewing gum to your office at a later date.
Remind me to send you a thank you note later too, Edgeworth, old chum. Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not too long ago you said he was wearing his racing jacket and now he's not.
Not too long ago. First let me ask you this. When you were itty bitty, what was your grand dream?
Huh?
What do you want to be when you grow up, whippersnapper?
My dream, huh? Well, I wanted to be Judge Wagner, hero of the public's court, so what?
See? And look where you are now. You're not Judge Wagner, are you? Are you?
Well,
What I said earlier. Who puts any weight into things like that? The now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past.
since when did court become theatrics over testimony?
All that matters is the man was inside the costume. Isn't that enough?
And why would that be?
That way no one could see his face, of course.
But there's still no advantage for him that I can see. In fact, you would think the costume would make him stand out all the more.
You're such an annoying child, you know that. You disagree with everything I say.
Isn't that what you're always doing to me?
I got it. Maybe it was more troublesome for him to change in and out of the costume.
Was there anyone else scheduled to appear at the post-ceremony show?
Well, all the contestants were supposed to go on stage in a friendly gesture thing.
And that includes the jamming ninja?
Of course it included him. That's why when Ungol come out of Dear One's room, I didn't give it a second thought.
I see.
Well, anyway.
So let me ask you one last time. The person you saw, it was really the Nickel Samurai?
Show it as ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning?
Can I throw in the towel yet? Huh. You don't need to think too hard on this one. Huh? There's a contradiction in her testimony and it's sitting in plain sight. The question is, what the contradiction means for us. Well, I have to figure out what you're talking about first, but okay.